Coming today, as we introduce Mark Jackson as the next Warriors head coach, and this is, I guess, the St. Regis becoming kind of our deal here. Jerry West, who's sitting right here, was great a couple weeks ago, but I want to welcome everybody on NBA TV and CSN Bay Area. I'm Bob Fitzgerald, the Warriors TV announcer, and we're going to hear from Joe Lacob, the Warriors owner, as well as Mark Jackson and Larry Riley, the Warriors GM. And a day like today, when you hire Mark Jackson, you think New York point guard, but most specifically Brooklyn point guard. And that is all about leadership. That is all about being in control. And so for Mark Jackson, you're talking 17 years in the league, 14 playoff seasons, played for 5 Hall of Fame head coaches, Final Four with St. John's, made the finals with Indiana. And this is a guy who's third all-time in assists. And the last bit, they were just taking it just a couple seconds ago, is whether or not Jim Barnett on television can use "Mama, there goes that man again." We haven't decided that yet, but if you're wondering if Mark can still help others, just watch the work he's done with Jeff Van Gundy on the finals. He can still get it done. So why don't we start with Joe Lacob. And Joe, you said that hiring a coach would be a moment of significance for you, maybe the most significant thing you do during the offseason. Your thoughts on today?
Well, I just want to say this is a great day for the Warriors and for our ownership group and for everybody involved here on our staff, Jerry and Bob and Larry and Peter and all of us. We are so excited to have Mark Jackson as part of our team and the coach of our team going forward. You know, this is a long process. And some people thought, well, why does it take 5 or 6 weeks to go through a process like that? Well, we had one chance to go ahead and get the right guy and do a reset here. And it's probably the most important hire we could have made. I think I made that comment. Because this is the guy, you know, we can talk about selling tickets and we can talk about all these other things, but the truth of the matter is, what do we have to do? We have to win basketball games, and that's what we're all about. That's why we're all here. We want to change the culture of this franchise, and we want to win. And the guy that's going to be coaching those guys on the floor, he's the key guy. He's going to be doing it. So it was a very important hire to us. And we had a long process. The group of Larry and Bob and Jerry met a number of candidates. Actually, I'll say as many as a dozen candidates, some of which were not in the media, frankly. Then it came down to a final list that we started to interview. And the first person that I interviewed in that process, in fact, was Mark Jackson. And we had a fantastic interview down in LA. I think it was about, 2-3 hours, maybe. Great meeting. And I came away from that thinking, wow, this guy is exactly what I envision as a coach. He's a leader. He's a leader. It's the first thing that hits you when you meet with Mark Jackson. He's intelligent. And he's the most experienced guy, frankly, that we introduced or met in the entire process. And I know that's a funny line to say, given some of the comments out there. He hasn't been in the seat and been a head coach in the NBA. But if you look at experience, it's the whole bottle, whole wax. It's the whole thing that counts. You know, can he be a leader? Will the players respect him? How will he handle the media in a big market like the Bay Area? I could go through any number of things. Mark, will he hire good people? Will he manage good people on his staff? And Mark, to me, was the most experienced guy of anybody on that list, anybody that we met. And it wasn't close. The second best candidate we interviewed, in fact, was the guy he hired. It turns out he's an first assistant coach sitting right here. And we'll take care of that introduction in a few moments. So I just want to say it was a long process. I think we got the best possible guy that we could have gotten. And I flew from Dallas. I was at the game last night. And it was very exciting. Peter and I were there. And we're sitting across the way. And I texted to Mark. I didn't know if he could, during a national broadcast, if he could look at his phone exactly. But I texted. I said, hey, sitting right across from me, right above David Stern. And it wasn't but it must have been 120 seconds later. I look across the way. And there's Mark Jackson on the national broadcast waving across the way. So, you know, that to me shows he's a 24/7 guy. Anyway, I just want to welcome you here. It's an honor, frankly, to have you as our coach, and we're very excited. And I speak for everyone in the organization.
Thank you. Larry, you've been an executive as well as a coach. Joe's talking about the process. What stood out for Mark in terms of characteristics in his candidacy and selecting him as the head coach?
Joe's already talked about leadership. That was, of course, a factor, but all we did was when we sat down with Mark, it just jumped out at us right away that here's a guy with a very big presence. And as Joe and I talked about hiring someone, one of the comments that I had made is we have to get a guy who can get these players to play and who has an understanding of players and can motivate them. He has the respect of players, and as we talked with Mark, it became totally obvious that once he analyzes a game, he's looked at the players, what their role should be, what they can do, and he's also looked at the X's and O's of the game. Those were the most obvious things that came out of that early interview process. In addition, I was very pleased with the fact that Mark didn't just retire from basketball and sit down somewhere and not give it much thought. It became totally apparent that he had been pointing in the direction of the day when he could become a head coach, and he was preparing for that all along. Did a great job with it, Mark.
Thank you.
So Mark, 17 years as a player, the 14 playoff seasons. I'm thinking of the teardrop, the shimmy shake. You had the excellent broadcasting career doing the finals, but now this is the new and next chapter of your basketball life. What are your thoughts today being the Warriors head coach?
Well, this is my first grown man move. I actually have put the shimmy and all of that stuff in the closet. It is an exciting day for me, for my family. I am absolutely thrilled. I'm humbled, and it's a blessed occasion. This is a platform that I seek my entire life as a young fella, dreaming, sitting as a weird kid, listening to Knick games. I was the star player, I was the coach, and I was the announcer. And I dreamed of that. I became that player, I became that announcer, and the last line for me was coach. But meeting these guys, really, for me, it was love at first sight. I've been in a lot of processes. I've had opportunities, and I've been in interview situations, but I listened to the passion, the focus, the dedication, the desire of these guys, what they're trying to do, and immediately I wanted to be part of it. I didn't want to sound like a groupie, so I didn't want to text them too much and say, what's going on? I'm hearing other names and seeing they having other relationships, and I took it personally. But I had to calm down, because ultimately I had to believe that these guys would be exactly who I thought they were, qualified and searching for the best man to meet their standard, their passion, and their commitment. And it is a great day, not only for me, for this organization, for this fan base, because the Bay Area will never be the same. I am thrilled and excited to be the next head coach of the Golden State Warriors. And to these gentlemen, I say thank you, because it wasn't an easy move to pull the trigger on a guy that some would say have no experience. But I was a leader when my mom gave birth to me. This is a platform that I'm excited about. I'm thrilled. And I say to you, reporters, and I say thank you. First of all, I apologize for not having answers initially, being in NBA Finals and putting some of your calls on hold. But being professional, I wanted to make sure I was able to greet you personally and thank you and tell you how excited I am for what lies ahead. I want to take one moment to announce, because people said to me, why do you think you're qualified? Why do you think you can be a head coach? First of all, I've been an extension of a coach my entire life playing. Second of all, I know exactly what I know, and I know what I don't know. And this is what I said in the interview process. I will put people around me that are more than qualified to do the job. Every hire I make on my staff will be individuals that are prepared to be head coaches. I will not hire somebody that I don't think can be a head coach in this league. My very first hire, taking what they gave, it was contagious. I was searching for a guy that was passionate. I was searching for a guy that was committed. I was searching for a guy that knew the game of basketball and wouldn't let me down. And my first hire was an outstanding guy. I didn't have to go far, in Mike Malone, who was a lead assistant for the New Orleans Hornets last year, who was called upon as people tried to search and look to find that next gem in coaching, who had options, just like my wife, had options, but chose me. Mike Malone is that guy. And you might as well get to know him now, because, and selfishly, I'd love to have him throughout my entire career, but it's not going to happen, because this guy is an absolute gem of a basketball man. He's loyal, and somebody I've known for quite a long time. So I introduced my lead assistant, the dynamic Mike Malone. And I just want to say real quick, some people say, where's that old school guy next to you? Where's that old school guy? Well, I would have made that mistake years ago. More importantly, I wanted that guy that knew the game of basketball, that understood what it takes. And I feel very, very comfortable in that guy being Mike Malone. So we're looking forward to doing big things in this Bay Area and being an exciting basketball team.
Thank you, Mark. Okay, we'll now open up to Q&A. If you have a question, we ask you to please raise your hand. We have Ben on one side and Danny on the other side. We'll bring a microphone for you and identify yourself, and we'll go from there. Matt Steinmetz.
That's Comcast Sportsnet. Mark, you've referenced the coaches you've played for, Pitino, Riley, Brown, Larry Bird. Can you just touch on a few of them and tell us what you may take from some of those guys and bring to the Warriors?
Great question. I will say Rick Pitino is the best coach I ever played for. He's a future Hall of Famer, so he's not on that list of Hall of Fame coaches, but he was so good that I decided to send my son, who's just finished his redshirt freshman year on the University of Louisville's basketball team. What Rick Pitino did was instill in me that I was a great player. He instilled in me confidence where I would be willing to run through a wall for him, made me believe when I had no business believing. And I think that's what coaching is all about. I stepped on the floor, whether it was Magic Johnson, Isaiah Thomas, John Stockton, whoever, on the opposite end of the floor. And I believed, because of the confidence that my coach instilled in me, that guy was the second best point guard on the floor. I will submit to you today, I had no business believing that. I will submit to you today that was a lie. But I will also submit to you today that I put myself in position to be effective and successful because of the confidence level that my coach had in me, the belief that he had in me, and what he was willing to tolerate and not tolerate. Along the lines, Pat Riley, great, great basketball mind, who I thanked him just the other day because not too many people know, but when you are in position to hire a head coach, you are going to make phone calls to the people that you know. You're going to lean out to people that you know and say, what's the story on this guy? Well, Pat Riley decided to make a phone call and put a stamp of approval on a guy that never coached before in his life, because I had an opportunity to play for him early on in my career. And he went out on a limb. And to all of those people that did just that, I say thank you, and I'm certainly not going to disappoint you. But I played with great coaches. Jeff Van Gundy, my partner on TV, sitting beside me, just helping me along the way, guiding me, making suggestions. I just been extremely blessed to have a great group of coaches. Lou Conaseca, a Hall of Fame coach at St. John's University, so many on down the line, and my very own high school coach, who I just got a call from as we were the only undisputed #1 team in the history of New York City, Bishop Laughlin's high school own Patrick Quigley. So a long line of great coaches, and I've stolen from each and every one of them.
Right over here.
Yeah, Mark, Fred Inglis from KTVU. First of all, congratulations. How much do you know about the Warriors as their personnel? What was your impression of them as an organization before you had a chance to meet with them?
I tell you what, in relationships, and you'll learn I got a lot of different stories and weird analogies, but in relationships, I don't really care what happened before we met. So I can't talk about the organization prior to these gentlemen assembling this dream team. I can tell you what is going to be going forward. We're not going to accept mediocrity. We're not going to accept not getting it done on the floor. We're going to hold each other and this team to a different standard, and we're going to be professionals, and it's going to be a lot of fun. This is going to be a beautiful time, so you might as well latch on to the back of the bandwagon because things be changing here in the Bay Area.
Let's go to Tim.
Mark, it's Tim Kawakami, San Jose Mercury News right over here. You have an idea, did you discuss with them what kind of offense you're going to run? Are you a motion offense? Are you a point guard, call the play guy? And also defensively, have you gotten so far as what your schemes in your mind are going to be with this team?
We are going to be a defensive-minded basketball team first and foremost. We're going to get after it. We're going to hold each other accountable, and we're going to play to our strengths. We're going to be demanding. Offensively, we are going to be a team that's going to push the basketball. Some may say, can you push the basketball and defend? Absolutely. We can push the basketball, and I'm not a guy that's going to be yelling up and down, calling every play, because my best coaches didn't do it to me, and I believe my job is to instill in my point guard how to be an extension of me on the floor so I don't have to grab him and shake him and yell and scream. He's going to be put in position to make plays and call the proper reads. Any great team, any great player, any great quarterback, catcher, or point guard, that's what you require of him to do. And we're going to do that through preparation. It's not going to happen tomorrow. It's going to happen through spending quality time together, going over strategies, going over game plans, and then putting those principles into play.
Lowell Cone over here on the right side.
Lowell Cone from the Santa Rosa Press-Democrat. Mark, in the process of interviewing for this job, did you interview in person with Jerry West? And if so, what did you take away from that interview?
Well, this is 2020. Yes, and I give credit because, I mean, I'm a kid, and I'm not just a brand new player. I'm a student of the game. I know the history of the game. I know when I look in the back of the room and I see Al Addles. I know when I look in the back of the room and I see Nate Thurman. I can remember as a kid watching greatness. So to me, to be sitting opposite Jerry West as we had a face-to-face meeting and just to break bread and go over our thought process, go over questions and interview about the game of basketball and what my beliefs were and the similarities that we had as far as our beliefs and people that we've encountered, coaches we know. It was a heck of a time, but there was a little kid in me still mad at Mr. Clutch, still upset because I was a New York Knicks fan, man, and I watched a lot of the damage that he put on to guys that I looked up to. So it was a side of me that I was doing the interview, but at the same time, I just wanted to high five him and hug him because he was a bad man.
Left-hand side, Antonio.
Hi, Mark. Antonio Gonzalez with the Associated Press. Just curious, exactly how many NBA coaching interviews have you had before this one, and how difficult was it and frustrating was it to make that transition into coaching?
I really, off the top of my head, I'm sure somebody in here will know better than me, but I don't have a clue how many it's been. I can tell you I was a finalist with the Atlanta Hawks. I was a finalist with the New York Knicks. I was a finalist with the Minnesota Timberwolves. I was offered an associate head coaching job. I had opportunities. And to me, I told the people that's in Dallas the other night, if I would have never coached in my life, if I would have never had this opportunity, I'd be absolutely fine. I'd be at peace with it because I'm a man of tremendous faith, and I believe what's mine will be mine. So if I wasn't a head coach to this point, it just wasn't meant to be. I am totally fine with the opportunity that presented itself with me right now to be the head coach of the Golden State Warriors. That's old news, and I look forward to proving people wrong as I did not just as a player, but in life.
Right-hand side, gentleman in the black shirt.
Mark, Monty with Sports Radio 95.7. Can you talk to me about how Monte Ellis fits into your system and into your team?
Your first part was, I didn't hear you, I'm sorry.
I'm Monty with Sports Radio
Okay.
95.7. Nice to meet
Yes,
you.
pleasure.
Can you tell me how Monte Ellis fits into your system, into your team?
I thought you said Monty was traded at 475. I'm like, I apologize. He fits into my team. I tell you what, when you talk about a guy who can flat out score the basketball, you can nitpick and say what he can and can't do, anybody. At the end of the day, a coach will look brilliant when he can look in the huddle and say, go make a play. Put the ball in that guy's hands and trust that he will make a play. Monte Ellis is a flat-out scorer. He's a much improved, underrated passer, a great facilitator, and a guy that I embrace to be part of this basketball team. Flat-out stud on the offensive end of the floor. Now, that being said, can he do things better? Yes. Will I hold him accountable just like everybody else? Absolutely. But he is an absolute outstanding player and somebody I look forward to coaching.
Left-hand side, Art.
Yeah, Mark, Art Spander, San Francisco Examiner, other outlets. You see coaches going to broadcasting, they go back to coaching, they go back to broadcasting. People would look at your job and say, boy, that's a great job doing the NBA. Why? Do you just want to get involved with the game more, or were you satisfied looking at it from the outside and commenting?
I have and I had a great job. To be able to be the lead analyst on the NBA coverage is a phenomenal job. To be able to sit beside Mike Breen and Jeff Van Gundy, who I've known for over 20 years, both of those guys, love and respect. To work alongside of Doris Burke, to have the relationships of great producers like Tim Corrigan and Jimmy Moore. It is a struggle, or it was a struggle for me to say, I want to coach. During the interview process, I took time out, as I said, I'm a man of faith. And I said, Lord, if it's not mine, don't you dare let them offer it to me. And I was convinced that would be the situation if it wasn't for me. Once they told me I was their guy, I was at peace with it. I'm totally excited because it just means that one chapter of my life is done and I'm on to another season, no pun intended, and a season full of challenges, a season full of growth, and a season full of flat-out excitement for me and my family.
Left-hand side, Cam.
Gentlemen, Cam Inman, Bay Area News Group. Mark, could you, you're in the midst of covering the NBA Finals right now and announcing them. What kind of mental notes are you taking right now that can maybe translate on getting the Warriors to that stage?
Watching film, seeing what guys do very well, seeing what guys need to do better, seeing how teams are most effective on the floor, why these two teams are in the NBA Finals, even though they both have limitations, flat out outstanding coaches, flat out outstanding game plans, and finding a way to beat the odds. You don't stumble into that, and truly, this Warriors team won't stumble into it. We're going to prepare ourselves to be in this position and be in this position very quickly.
Left-hand side, Ethan.
Ethan Sherwood-Strauss, Warriors World. Do you think people can glean any insight into what you'll do as a coach from what you've said as an announcer?
There will be no play called Mama, There Goes That Man. There will be no defense called hand down, man down. So no. But in seriousness, you can see what I put emphasis on as a coach by listening to me announce. So if a guy gets blown by and there's no help, well, obviously, I'm going to demand help defense. If a guy takes a poor shot and I yell him out on the air, obviously, I'm not going to tolerate poor shots. That doesn't mean that poor shots are not going to be taken, but you're going to have to earn the right to take a bad shot. If you're getting it done on the defensive end, I'll take the guesswork out. If you're getting it done on the defensive end and you're leaving it on the floor, you're going to have more leeway to make a mistake on the offensive end. I'm going to be much more understanding if you're leaving it out on the floor.
Left-hand side, Gwen.
Gwen Knapp, San Francisco Chronicle. You said that you know what you don't know and your assistants will fill those gaps. What are those things that you don't know yet?
I don't know who my staff's going to be, and my assistants will fill those gaps. I thought that was pretty funny. This is brand new to me. I've never been a head coach in my life, and I have the luxury to have guys, and I don't just mean Mike Malone. Jerry West has hired people. He has hired people. He has watched the game of basketball. Larry Riley understands. He's hired people. He's watched the game of basketball. These dynamic owners have watched. They're passionate. They're committed. They have input. When you talk about Bob Myers, he is represented. He is hired. These are guys that have a wealth of knowledge. And I'm not arrogant enough to believe that I can't go to them, knock on a door, and say, what you think? Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to run with what they think. But I'm certainly going to lean on the wealth of knowledge that I have in front of me, and I'm going to continue that as we continue to fill this bench up.
Do you know which areas you probably would lean on them more, like specific things that you don't quite get yet?
Yeah, I've never been a head coach, which is a great question. And what I mean by that is the organizational part of it. I've never put together an organizational plan as far as the entire process. That's brand new to me. But make no mistakes about it. There will be no flaws on this staff, and there will be no mishaps as far as because of lack of preparation and lack of being ready for the moment. I think ultimately we are going to get it done because of the community. But I'm putting this thing on the line because at the end of the day, folks are going to say either Mark Jackson can or can't coach. And I'm totally confident in my ability to get the most out of the guys that's going to have on a Warrior jersey.
Any other questions?
Yes, a couple over here.
Ethan?
Thank you. You say that you're a man of incredible faith. Do you have a lot of faith in the increasingly popular use of advanced statistics?
I do have a lot of faith in advanced statistics. I don't have total faith in it because you can look at the game and see a guy have 30 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 assists and say, what a great job. Me, with my experience, can look at the stat sheet, watch the game, and say he played horrible. And I can break it down to you exactly why. There is a benefit to stats, but stats do lie contrary to popular belief. I believe when I look on the floor, a guy could have 5 rebounds and 3 block shots, and you may say he got it done in that first quarter. And I say he could have had 10 rebounds and 7 block shots if he would have given me more passion, more energy, and more effort on the end of the floor. So I will trust the numbers, but I'm going to trust my eyes more so.
Left-hand side here. Yeah, Malika?
Hi, welcome to Oakland. Malika Bobineau, sports editor for the Oakland Post. The Warriors have pretty much been an offensive team known for shooting, especially threes. And when you talk about changing that to defense, have you looked at the roster to see if there's going to be any changes in achieving that goal?
Well, there'll be changes. There will be changes. But at the same time, what you hold guys accountable to is if you give a player an out, and I'm speaking from a player's point, because I was a player 17 years, I'm going to take that out. But when you begin to hold guys accountable and make there be a price to be paid when you don't do it, they'll find a way to get it done. The ultimate weapon is playing time. And if you want to win, we'll find out starting right now who really wants to win and who is just acting, because the actors will be exposed. This is going to take a full-time commitment across the board.
Far back left corner, Bruce.
Yeah, Mark, congratulations and welcome to the Bay Area.
Thank you.
Bruce McGowan with KGO Radio. And I'm curious to get your feeling about working with the athletes because you've played at the highest level in college and the pros. You've been a quarterback on the floor. But how do you get today's athletes, and you know these guys better than all of us here do because you've been around them a lot more than we have. How do you get them to buy into a system, and what's the challenge going to be? Getting guys sometimes who are maybe temperamental, who maybe want to have the ball more, to buy into what you're trying to push.
Now, I'm not one of those old school guys that would sit there and tell you that things changed. Believe it or not, those guys back in the day were temperamental too. They had some issues. They were stubborn, and there were some problems. Ultimately, players in this league want to be coached. They want to be embraced. They want to be corrected because it's awfully frustrating when you're home right now on vacation and there's 2 teams playing and you feel like you're better. I have total confidence in my players.
Great, thank you. We will now do a quick photo op with Mark and Joe shaking hands.
I'm sorry, real quick before, I just want to say thank you to my phenomenal wife, my 4 beautiful kids, and I tried to save it because I get emotional. But I'm a blessed man, and I thank them.
Thank you. Okay, we'll do a quick photo op with Joe and Mark shaking hands first of all. Do that for TVs, get a clear shot.
Give me with tears, right?
Okay.
Yeah, they're going to get you now with that.
Larry and Mark shaking hands. All right, now if I can get all 3 of you gentlemen together, and then if I can get you guys up here as well.